I'd set my goals to get to the UFC, had got to the UFC, and that resulted in me achieving my goal, so it was ticked. And then once I got there was nothing for me to do. I won in the UFC, I had completed the game.
So you didn't have these aspirations of being a champion and being like the greatest ever?
At this point, no.
Right.
What was there was, Paul, get to the UFC. That was
it.
And then I went in a bit of a lull, let's say, because I won my first fight.
Transitioning now to an armbar. Now he's got extended. And it's all over. Paul Craig.
It was submission, got bonus, all this kind of stuff. You get above yourself, don't you? You start to think, hey, I'm the man. And then I fought Tyson Pedro in 209 when my body hadn't recovered from the previous fight, and it resulted in me losing. After that first loss in the UFC, I was kind of devastated. Like, I'd never experienced loss of that ever. My world came down.
Real bad.
You know, your mind starts saying, like, you don't deserve to be in the UFC. There's guys out there working harder than you and doing things better than you, and you don't deserve them. You've just been lucky. You've just lucked your way to the UFC. And then it was my last fight.
Last fight, what, on your contract?
On my contract, 4 fights, you know, 1 win, 2 losses. Are the UFC going to take somebody that's got 3 losses and 1 win? The UFC are in the business of having the best of the best.
Of course.
And I had not represented myself very well. And the person who put me up against was this up-and-coming young Russian who was being tipped as the next Khabib.
Magomed Ankalaev from Dagestan, Russia. A young fighter at just 25 years of age who brings a perfect record.
He's a scary individual, John. He's got that unbroken confidence of an undefeated fighter, and just the way that he fights, it's almost like his opponent's irrelevant.
And I remember just walking out, and my song I'd picked, and there was a line in it, and it was about leaving your dreams in the gutter. I can't remember the exact line. I remember just hearing it, and I could have cried. The fans were so electric in London, and I literally could have just sobbed my eyes out, because it felt like going to the gallows, basically. This was me. I was done in the UFC, and I was like, this is over, and then was wrong. And honestly, if you'd say, Paul, have a seat, let's have a wee talk, I just went, started crying, tears streaming down my face. Got into the Octagon, it was all or nothing, and literally took a beating for 15 minutes.
Oh. Big head kick, lovely combination there from the Russian.
And then I remember my ribs were shot. I remember he'd broken my ribs, I had a hole in my chin.
Oh! Look at that break of the clinch combination there.
Because he hit me with a shot and just spotted the chin, and it was underneath my beard, and my beard was all matted and blood.
Big shots from Ankalaev here. Paul Craig crammed up against the fence in a very uncomfortable position.
And I remember just thinking, I heard the banging for the last 10 seconds in the round, and I was like, it's all or nothing, innit? So I just fired up the triangle.
Oh, look at this! Beautiful work by Paul Craig!
And resulted in one of the best submissions in my life.
Oh, he had a tap! Wow!
In the dying seconds,
what a comeback from Paul Craig!
Gets the win!
Wow!
What a comeback!
In that 1 second, either direction would either have been him tapping or me leaving the UFC, and it resulted in me the next morning getting a 4-fight contract again. And then my mindset had changed, and I started to believe that I was a UFC fighter.
Stop there, Paul, because I want to go back to that moment. He taps. With all that, what you just said, walk into the Octagon, nearly crying on the way in. Your heart must have been aching because the guy was getting the better of you.
Yep.
Take us, what is that like?
For me, at that point, although it was a celebration, if you see me and you watch the video back, I stand up, but I'm like, there's so much emotion in me at this point. And I remember after that fight, like going backstage, and there's just, my phone's lit up. My phone is going off the hook because people are showing me love. And I remember I had to go into the toilet and just have a cry, like, because there was all this emotion. Like, this was a roller coaster for the first 4 fights. And I remember just going into the toilet and just shutting it down. But I had to kind of do it kind of quietly because I didn't want him to hear me. I was like,
quiet sobbing.
And I remember just breaking down. And then, but even now, I'm getting emotional thinking about the walk. I'm getting emotional thinking about me getting that triangle. I'm not an emotional guy, but when it comes to MMA, it's an emotional sport. It's a roller coaster. It hits you up, it hits you down, it hits you lying in the gutter. Now I'm believing that I'm a UFC fighter, and I set these goals of from being a top 15 fighter to now being a top 10 fighter to now getting into this top echelon, you know, being in contention. When the title's getting spoke about, maybe they're speaking about my name. It's a beautiful sport.